Langley Speedway, the next home of the Maritime iRacing League series. It's the weekly infield press 150 live from Langley Speedway, part of the Maritime iRacing series, live on LSRTV. Good evening, race fans. Joe Cortez, Harrison Wilets in the booth with you, getting ready to call another great racer with the Maritime iRacing League. Late models for 150 laps around this very, very flat, very wide track. It's only less than a half mile around this track, so we're going to be treated to some very entertaining racing all the way through. Harrison Wiley joining me in the booth in just a moment. He stepped out to get the lovely corn dogs they have here at the infield. And Harrison, did you bring me back one?
Oh yeah, I loaded up on dinner. I got me some water. I'm ready to see some great racing here at what's really one of the most unique short tracks on the schedule.
It is a very unique short track. It's only less than a half mile, 0.4 of a mile, very flat, very wide, and it's one of those tracks that you can really get around in a hurry if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, this is a track where you can't really be fooled by the straightaways here. There are some short straightaways, but as you're driving one of these cars, you're pretty much always turning the wheel. You're always setting yourself up for the next entry, and you're always swinging wide out of the exit. And so these drivers really get no break. And so it's a track where anytime you're turning a lot, it's very easy to lose momentum, and it just takes a rhythm to be very successful here.
Not to mention, this track also has a very, very strange layout. The turns 1 and 2 just a touch wider than 3 and 4. So because of the way pit road is shaped, going into 1 and 2 is a completely different setup and a completely different approach than going into 3 and 4, which will make an excellent test of each of these drivers' abilities tonight at Langley.
Yeah, that's very true. And as you turn into these corners, the line at the bottom of the racetrack sort of moves around on you. And so while you're holding a steady wheel, it almost looks like that bottom line changes a little bit. It comes up at you, comes back down. It's kind of like the way the Milwaukee Mile is. Obviously a very different racetrack, but there, as you enter turn 1, it kind of swoops up the track into you when you hold a steady line. It's kind of like that turn-in is a lot sharper than center on exit. And so this is a track that sees a lot of short track racing throughout the year. We have the K&N series that actually ran here not long ago, and it's just it's one of those tracks in the South that sees a lot of great racing.
Tim Terry must have heard what we were talking about with the corn dogs and the nachos and everything. Look at him. He's already stepped out of the car, and he said, I'm going to get something to eat real quick before I go racing. Tim Terry currently in the top 10 in points. Let's go ahead and go through the points real quick. Tim Terry enjoying the corn dogs out here tonight. I have to admit, the food is really good here. I don't know who makes it, Harrison, but it is by and large.
You know, when you spend a lot of time at racetracks, it's easy to fall in love with all kinds of food that you can find at these places, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how great the quality is. If it's fried, it's usually delicious.
That is a fact. That is a absolute fact. Harrison Wilets, you have the points run down while I'm going to snack on some of this great food you brought in. Go ahead and take us through the points.
Yeah, absolutely. The point series been interesting because one of our past champions here at the Maritime iRacing League, Ricky Arbo, has had a struggle of a season. He's not the points leader. The points leader is Ronald McKay. 2 wins through the 5 races, I believe, that have been run so far this season. A 10-race stint. Halfway through, Ronald McKay is the points leader. And he's got a commanding lead of about 34 points on Jake Goodwin, who has 1 win. He actually won last week at Stafford, so Jake Goodwin currently sits second. Kevin Savory, third in points, looking for that first win of the season, 5 races in. He is 52 out of the lead, and he's a contender anytime in these late models. Keith Mack currently 4th in points, followed by Mike Rhino. Currently 6th in points is Carter Wilson, followed by Stephen Matthews in 7th, one to look out for. 8th is Tim Terry, the league administrator, head honcho in charge of the Maritime iRacing League. Obviously, doing a lot of the broadcasting. Just last night was doing the Pro Series. So Tim, right now, 8th in points after a stretch of 2 good runs in a row. Mike Alexander sits 9th, and last season's champion, Ricky Arbo, looking to make a comeback. He sits 10th, 90 points out of the lead.
So Ricky Arbo looking to pick it up here tonight at Langley Speedway. 0.4 of a mile, 150 laps to go here at Langley. It's going to make for some very entertaining racing. Drew Harrison, what are you keeping an eye on tonight?
I think this is going to be one of those races where it's going to be rough for a lot of these guys to keep their noses clean. There's going to be some beating and banging. We might see a group of cautions, but I do think that if we do see a group of cautions early on, this is going to turn into a race where we do see some long green runs. When these guys get into a rhythm, it's going to spread out a little bit, but the creamer is going to rise to the top, and it should be a really great lead battle. You can really nail the setup here. You could really miss it, and most people are going to really miss it and be racing hard throughout the night. So this is going to be a rough race, I think. A lot of contact, probably.
A lot of contact, and I think the biggest thing that I'm going to keep an eye out for is the front end of these machines, not just the nose, but that entire front end suspension on these cars. If they're not able to get around and get moving in front of these cars, so they're not able to keep that suspension clean, that is going to make it incredibly difficult for them to try and attempt to race here tonight. Time running out in our pre-race ceremonies. Let's go ahead and take you down trackside for the national anthem in our pre-race ceremonies tonight.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Paying homage to both our American and Canadian fans tonight, even though this is primarily a Canadian league, both the American national anthems and the Canadian national anthem playing here at Langley Speedway. 150 laps just about to get underway. Let's go ahead and take you through the starting grid. Starting on the pole, it's last season champion 10th in points, Ricky Arbeau, turning in a time of 15.274 seconds, smoking the rest of the field out there. On the outside of him, on the front row, it'll be the 48 of Jake Goodwin in second.
Current points leader Ronald McKay will be starting in third. Alongside him, the number 15 of Mike Alexander.
Carter Wilson will start on the inside of row number 3. Stephen Matthews of the 98 starts in 6th.
Starting 7th will be the 34 Mike Rhino. Alongside of him, the 22 of Keith Mack.
Mark Williams, Nathan Doherty round out row number 5.
Row number 6 has the 18 Chuck Morehouse and Patrick Healy.
Kevin Savory on the inside of row number 7. Stefan Arsenault on the outside in 14th.
Vic Greenwood will be starting this race from 15th. Alongside of him, the 33 of Doug Hughley.
Tracy Foster, Jeff Gilmore, row number 9.
Row number 10 has the 89 Morgan Murphy. Alongside of him, Brandon Campbell.
Travis Roma, Luke Kaisi, the last two to attempt to qualify here tonight, not taking time, so they will start shotgun on this field. 150 laps about to go, all in the hands of Ricky Arbeau. If you remember from last week, he was close to winning. He ended up getting taken out as a result of a late race incident, so tonight he's looking for a little bit of retribution. Jake Goodwin on the outside, though, is going to make sure that doesn't happen. Green flag flies, and we are racing. It is Ricky Arbeau getting the big jump. They're single file now through this field, or through the front field. It looks like the battle right now is for third between Ronnie McKay and Mike Alexander.
Yeah, Mike Alexander, that 15 car goes way wide entering turn number 3, and that's going to cost him as a couple more cars dip down below, including that's the 34 Mike Rhino. Caution's on the track.
First caution we are working the first caution flag of the field, and it looks like the number 4 getting involved with the 75, the Swan Racing Machine of Tim Terry, and that is not going to make Mr. Terry happy. He probably should have focused on practicing and not a stop for the hot dogs, I think.
Oh yeah, no telling if that had an effect. Looks like there was like two things that happened at the same time here. Chuck Morehouse in the 18 gets loose through 3 and 4 and heads to the inside, and I think a couple of cars checked up behind him, and that's when we had a mess approaching that wreck. The 4 of Luke Casey got tagged a little bit by Tim Terry, and a lot of cars just sort of converging upon the same real estate at the same time as they worked around that car who was in the infield. And so quick early caution, only going to see pit stops from a couple cars that are damaged. Everyone else going to stay out, keep that track position. But right early on, we see the physicality of this race really coming into play.
The number 75 of Tim Terry in that brand new Swan Racing Machine. He is going to have some front end damage, and that could be part of the problem. That could be add to his problems early in tonight's race. We talked about how keeping these cars clean and keeping the suspension clean on them were going to be key to keeping these cars running forward all night. And if you have a little bit of damage, if you have something that knocks the toe out on that car, that could make the difference between being competitive and just turning laps.
Yeah, anything that's going to hurt the rotation of these race cars is going to be very detrimental. You don't want that to happen. And but to Tim Terry's credit, though, or to maybe help ease the pain a little bit, I do think we're going to see a lot of cars sustain damage to those front suspensions, where they're going to have trouble keeping that rotation in their vehicles. And so Tim might have had some damage early on here, but I think as we go through this race, he's not going to be at too much of a disadvantage.
Let's go ahead and get a shot of the front of that 75 car we were talking about of Tim Terry. You see the big Chevy bow tie on it. It's how would you describe that, Harrison? A little Hollywood almost?
It looks like a statement. I think Tim might be saying that he's Hollywood, or I don't know, but
he's gone Hollywood maybe.
I don't know. He is pretty famous now. He is pretty famous. He might be Hollywood at this point.
A Hollywood Tim Terry. We'll have to, last time we heard a professional athlete took that name, he ended up going heel for quite a while. Do you think Tim's gonna turn heel on us?
Does he have it in him? That's the question.
Oh, we will find out, I'm sure, before this race is over. Pace car lights are out. They are doubled up once again. Ricky Arbeau, Jake Goodwin will start on the lead row once again. It'll be Ronnie McKay up to third, and the 27 machine of Carter will time. Green flag flies on lap 7. The score completing lap 7, now on lap 8. Ricky Arbeau gets the jump, Jake Goodwin with him. The 97 of Ronnie McKay now under fire from Carter Wilson. Carter Wilson still having troubles figuring out that car. The 27 still high on the outside, gets passed by the 24 of Mike Rhino, and here comes the 22 of Keith Mack.
Yeah, this racetrack is so low-line dependent that when you get caught high, that just long radius 7 of Carter Wilson able to bring it back to the low side, get back in line. One driver who's been starting high on these restarts, who's been able to tuck back in line, is the 48 of Jake Goodwin, and he's hounding the leader right now, looking to get an advantage on Ricky Arbeau. And I just want to give some kudos to Jake Goodwin, because I've seen him running the Cup car here at iRacing, seen him running the truck, seen him running these late models here at the Maritime iRacing League, and just won last week. Jake Goodwin is solid. He's a very versatile driver competing for this win here tonight.
One car having problems out there on the field is the 24 of Mark Williams, currently being scored in the 11th position. Not exactly sure what happened to that 24 machine, but you see right on the back, he does have some rear end damage that could affect the aerodynamics on that car and could affect the downforce on that 24 machine. He looks like he's not keeping up with the 5 of Patrick Healy or the 88 of Kevin Savory, who were both competitive with him just a moment ago. Bad news for the 24 machine of Mark Williams. Now he's going to figure out what he's going to have to do to keep that machine at least within a striking distance of the top 10. Meanwhile, Stefan Arsenault in the 52 machine, Doug Ubley in the 33, they're both looking to get some laps in, get some speed on those cars, and get around the 24.
Yeah, now we have actually a caution out. I believe it's for the 18 of Chuck Morehouse, slow on the front stretch. The 18 car looks like coming out of turn 4, he went around. There was actually contact with Tim Terry in the middle of 3 and 4. Might have upset the balance of the 18 a little bit, but it took the 18. It was a good couple hundred feet until the 18 lost it. Might have just upset his balance in the center of the corner, and then it over-rotated until it went around on exit. So that's the second caution of the race here, taking lap number 14.
Caution out once again in Hollywood. Tim Terry strikes once again, spinning around Chuck Morehouse, so it did not look like the contact was intentional, or maybe it was. If he's turning heel, it's hard to tell.
You know, it's a good point. You brought that up just a few laps ago, and then the next caution comes out, a little contact, and then that car's just over-rotating all the way to the exit, and Tim drives on by, takes the spot. So a little bit of irony right there.
Hollywood, Tim Terry getting going away with it. We'll be sure to look for the black shirts next week from that Swan Motorsports Tim's Corner machine. Ricky Arbeau, Jake Goodwin still on top, and then there's Ronnie McKay now up to third. And we've seen these 2 or 3 drivers leading a lot of laps in the series, in the last handful of races in the series. Ricky Arbeau always up front, Jake Goodwin always a threat to win, and then Ronnie McKay in the 97. He's your points leader. He's won a couple races. He is always a threat. If he is within sniffing distance of the top 3, he can win the race at any given moment.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And he has that big points lead for a reason. Anytime you're in a late model race with that 97 car, he's usually up there competing for that victory. That action car and truck accessories. You could call it like a Charger Chevrolet Impala hybrid. Obviously, these cars all mostly being Impala Chevrolet powered in iRacing, but a lot of Dodge on that one. And it's a good-looking car. And so Ronnie McKay looking to get a good restart on this third start/restart of the race. And these previous couple of starts here, he's gotten a good run, but Jake Goodwin just been a little bit better to where he's been able to slide into that second position from the outside of the front row. And so Ronnie's just thinking, how can I get the advantage on the start? Obviously, the pace car lights are out. They're going to take the green next time by, and I think Ronnie is going to try to be on his game to steal that second place away from the 48.
Saw it. I hate it when the interns unplug me for all the wrong reasons. Pace car is in the 61 of Ricky Arbo. Once again gets the jump. The 48, Jake Goodwin looked like he needed a push from the 34. Now that 34 machine is way high. Mike Rhino not trying to give away to Ron McKay, but Ron McKay has no problem dispatching him and taking away third place position. Now here comes Keith Mack in the 22 for fourth. The 34 of Mike Rhino, nowhere to go. He's going to slide all the way back to fifth.
Yeah, able to get in line in front of this 15 car. That's Mike Alexander in the 15, and so that's one of those things that's very frustrating here. You get stuck high if you're not able to get back to that preferred racing groove. You got to wait for the train to pass almost and just find a hole to put your car back into. Jake Goodwin, another great restart. As you said, it's a little bit of help from the 34 of Mike Rhino to stay up there in P2. And another driver coming into the 4A. You could say it's the return of the Mac, Keith Mack, 22 car up to fourth.
Mac the Knife is back in the mix. Keith Mack up to fourth. Mike Rhino still holding on to fifth. And then look behind him. They're Mike Alexander in the 15 and the 98 of Stephen Matthews. The 98 a little banged up from some incidents earlier in the race. Look at him now. The 98 still running hard. He is running in seventh, right behind that 15 machine. He wants to move it, and he wants to move it in a big way. Kevin Savory, the 88 in eighth. Let's go ahead and go board now. Check that with the 98 of Stephen Matthews, and you can see just how competitive the racing between the 98 and the 15 are.
And just in front, as we ride on board, just in front of Stephen Matthews here, the 97 Ronnie McKay stuck up high. The 22 of Keith Mack goes on by. Mike Rhino follows Mack. So that's Rhino up to the fourth position. Now the 15 working underneath Ronnie McKay, and McKay just sliding back. He's going to fall into the seventh position when it's all said and done, unless he gets a great 3 and 4 and it just doesn't work there. You see the car understeer, slide up the track, and the 97 back to the seventh position, and we'll just have to try to work from there. Now Kevin Savory, the 88, is on McKay's bumper.
That is one of the challenges of running here at Langley. If you make one false move, it is very easy for the drivers behind you to swoop in and take position. Ronnie McKay learned that the hard way, going from third to seventh in the matter of one lap. Meanwhile, back in front of him, the 98, almost making contact with the 15 of Mike Alexander, going through 1 and 2. The 98 just looked like he had a great run. Now you almost see him debating trying to get underneath the 15. Not going to happen this time by, but the 98, he is hungry. He is digging out there. He does not want to let this race go to fate.
Yeah, his line looks good. A little bit of rotation right there. You see the rear end come out from under him a little bit. Some of these cars just moving through the field maybe didn't get the qualifying run they quite wanted. Steve Matthews actually qualified sixth, lost a couple spots early on, made him back up, currently running in sixth. But as we start to see some comers and goers, Mike Rhino running fourth, actually qualified seventh. Actually, battle, it's heating up for the lead. The 48 of Goodwin is right on Arbo. Actually, I think lays a little bit of a bumper to him unintentionally. Lets Arbo save it, but Goodwin is right there. And also right there is that 22 of Keith Mack. So it's a three-way battle for this top spot right now.
Goodwin still trying to fight with Arbo. Arbo trying to keep it. And then there's Keith Mack the Knife. He is trying to slice his way in to that picture, that lead picture, and try to pick up some points for leading himself. 61 and 48 now side by side once again. 48 using the apron to help his car turn. They are side by side coming off of 1 and 2. Now into 3 and 4. The 48 slides it in. He has got the run on the 61. It'll be a new leader when we cross the line. Jake Goodwin in the 48 leads his first lap of the night on lap 34.
Yeah, one lap ago in turn one, there was just a big enough hole for his car to fit into, and he took advantage of it. Ricky Arbo trying to run a very low line, trying to retain that position, and Keith Mack able to follow him on through. And one of the things that these guys have to contend with as we go deeper into this run is with these drivers turning so much, using so much wheel, it's easy to heat up the right rear tire and get the car very loose. And so you want to keep the balance underneath you as you go longer and longer into this green flag run.
Patrick Healy now under fire from Tim Terry. Hollywood Terry literally tearing it up. I don't think he's forgotten about New Smyrna quite yet. Patrick Healy in fifth, under fire literally and figuratively from the 75 of Hollywood Terry. Hollywood has gone for broke, Harrison. I think we're only one more tap away from seeing a steel chair come out.
Oh man, and two more taps away from a steel cage match, you could say. This is a bruiser of a run so far. Tim currently showing in the 12th position. Still got 21 on the lead lap. Only 2 cars running who aren't on the lead lap, and a beating and banging is definitely what we are seeing here tonight.
Doug Hubhley in the 33 machine. He's had an up and down season all night. He gets around the 4 of Luke Caisi with no problem. Hubhley now up to the 10th place position. He is happy as a clam just to be running in 10th right now, all alone. No one there to fight for position with him. Carter Wilson in the 27 now with Kevin Savory in the 88 machine. These guys trying to get around Ronnie McKay, but Ronnie McKay not going to let that happen anytime soon.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Ronnie McKay just doing all he can to hold off that 88 of Savory, and also Wilson doing a solid job as well. Fall back a little bit from his qualifying spot, and that's because we saw him earlier on was one of those cars that got caught high. It's just hard to make it work. We see the 88 driving pretty hard through the center of 3 and 4 right there, doing all he can to get to the back bumper of that 97 of McKay. And Savory looks like he's got a pretty fast car himself. I mean, this deep into the run, we're almost a full second off of the qualifying times, or at least the top qualifying times. And Savory, it looks like his car is coming alive, able to hold it lower off the corner than that 97 in front of him.
Looks like he's able to hold off the corner and get a run as strong as he can out there. Jake Goodwin in the 48 machine still up front. Keith Mack now in second. Ricky Arbeau starting to drop off the pace a little bit. He's now back in third, but he also might be playing a little bit of conservation right now. Keep the tires underneath that late model a little bit longer and charge it later in the race. Behind him, it's Michael Rhino still in fourth, and the 15 and 98 still doing battle for fifth and sixth. The 34, 15, 98, you can throw a blanket over them. That's how close they are. Less than 2 car lengths between those 3 cars.
Oh, absolutely. Hard battle. And also coming into the picture right now is lap traffic. That's Nathan Doherty in the 6th, giving room to these guys as they battle for the 4th position, 4th, 5th, and 6th. And also looking a couple of cars in front of them. Keith Mack in the 22 has been putting pressure on the 48 of Goodwin. Mack actually looks like he might have the fastest car on the track right now, being held up a little bit by the race leader. And so when you're getting held up by the race leader, usually that's a good sign that you're doing okay. Part of what Goodwin in the 48 is dealing with right now is lap traffic, able to clear a lot of the cars that he just came up on. Sometimes that worries you when lap traffic is in some battles or all on top of each other. But when it all fans out, it's usually pretty good. The 48 sliding a little bit through the center of the corner. As we have caution on the track, entering turn number 1. That's the 58, I believe.
That is the 58 machine, the 38 machine. Check that 38 machine of Travis Roma, who looks like he got spun around out there. Let's see if we can get the replay out to find out what exactly happened. It looks like start all with contact with the 24 machine, and the 24 is going to send the 38 around nose first into those concrete barriers, and Travis Roma's night may be pretty much done for the most part. Heavy front end damage. Not crab walking per se on that 38 machine, but he is getting pretty heavy out there. Pace car, all the cars now down on pit road. The 61 of Ricky Arbeau having problems getting into his pit stall.
Yeah, that's a mistake that you don't want to make. Obviously, track position pretty key here. You overshoot your pit stall, not too fun. That incident right there for the 38, he just got very tight off of 4, had to lift to keep it off the wall, and that's when he got run into. But Arbeau going to lose some spots here. Goodwin going to come out of pit road with the lead, and 22, Keith Mack, comes out in second. Followed by Mike Alexander, I believe, got a few spots on pit road up to third.
Mike Alexander will move up from 4th to 3rd. He was challenging for that 3rd place position around Mike Rhino earlier, so it doesn't surprise me that he's moved all the way up out there. Brandon Campbell in the 99 machine way overshot his stall. He is now packing up all the way down pit road, and he is looking for his stall once again. Not sure what Brandon Campbell was going with that or where he was going. He is now back on track after that pit stall incident.
Yeah, that is something that happens to pretty much anyone who ever races from time to time, and it could be kind of embarrassing. You just come in there, you think that you know where your pit stall is, and maybe just forget where you qualified, have to come back around and figure it out again.
So the way they sit now, Jake Goodwin in the 48 leading the race, Keith Mack in second, Mike Alexander the 15 and third, Ricky Arbeau Your pole sitter will restart 4th, Mike Rhino 5th, Stephen Matthews 6th, Kevin Savory 7th, Carter Wilson 8th, Ronnie McKay 9th, and Mark Williams rounds out your top 10. And then there's Hollywood Terry, currently scored just outside the top 10 in 11th. Brandon Campbell, who we saw have that issue on pit road, he will restart 12th. Patrick Healy, Doug Hewley, Jeff Gilmore round out your top 15 as we get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. They are double filed up. Base car lights are off. Harrison Weinlitz, let's go racing.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of cars took the wave around Jake Goodwin. This is going to be his first restart from the lead, going to be in control of this field. And now we'll get to see what Keith Mack could do on that outside. Pace car goes in. Green flag's in the air. The 48 gets a jump. They have a commanding about a 2-car length lead entering turn number 1. Keith Mack able to get to that inside very quickly as Mike Alexander, Ricky Arbo side by side for 3rd place.
99 in the grass. We'll have to find out what happened to him in just a moment. Meanwhile, 61 and 15 still doing battle side by side. Ricky Arbo starting to drop a little bit as they can't run on the outside by himself. He is getting freight trained by everybody down there. The 15 gets by him. The 34 Rhino gets by him. Now it's the 98 machine of Steve Matthews. He's going to try to get around the 61. The 88 of Kevin Savory going to be the next one. Dispatch 61. Contact made. The 61 goes into the wall. 97 has to use some evasive maneuvering to get around 3 wide temporarily there. The 61, bad luck strikes once again.
Yeah, the caution's out on the track. I believe somewhere towards the back of the field. I think it's for the 18 of Chuck Morehouse. I'll have to see what happened. I believe, yeah, the 18 got sent sideways into the infield, entering turn number 1 by from contact from the 55. And this was probably caused because the 89 of Morgan Murphy got a little bit loose out of turn number 4. And so a little bit of a checkup behind and got turned around. And so we're under caution again. More than 1/3 of the way into this race, but we saw Ronald McKay get into that outside wall. Kevin Savory made contact. That's what happens when one car wants to sweep high, and the car on the high side is trying to run about as low as he can to try to defend that position.
57 laps currently being scored here at Langley Speedway. Over 1/3 of the race over with. Let's go ahead and take a step away for just a moment, take a quick commercial break. You are watching the Maritime iRacing League Weekly Infield Press 150 live from Langley Speedway on LSRTV. Stand by, race fans. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Travis, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4, and the checkered flag, he wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
Welcome back live to the Langley 150 presented by The Weekly Press. As these cars work their way around turn 3 and 4, the pace car is going to be in. Jake Goodwin in control of the field. Keith Mack to his outside. And Goodwin goes early this restart compared to the last restart. Takes advantage quickly. Mack able to get to the inside, entering turn number 1 as they run side by side for the 4th position. That's the 98 of Stephen Matthews trying to clear Mike Rhino. Mike Rhino does a good job of driving into turn number 3, but that car just can't stick on the outside. Now being contested for the 5th position, that's Kevin Savory in the 88. That 88 car qualified 13th all the way up to the 5th position as he clears Rhino in the 34.
He seems to have found something working for him in that 88 machine. He might have a setup that works better in the longer run or as the car works through the setup a little bit. So the 88 of Kevin Savory now sitting very nicely in 5th place. Ronnie McKay trying to get around him in 6th. No dice. Carter Wilson gets around Mike Rhino for the 34 machine. That is for position number 7. So the 27 now moves up a position. And the last man in that group, Mark Williams, now in the 24 machine, in 10th. Your pole sitter, the 61 machine of Ricky Arbeau. He was sitting great for such a long time. Now he's stuck in the back of traffic. 12th place. A huge fall from grace for the 61 of Arbeau.
It just seems like anytime you get stuck high, your luck sort of compounds on itself as we ride on board with the 34 car. As we're riding with Mike Rhino as he's trying to get an advantage on the 88 of Savory. And Savory doing a good job of driving through the field here. And looking up front, Keith Mack, that 22 car, he hasn't got to the lead yet, but he's putting a lot of pressure on the 48 of Goodwin. That 22 car looks like someone that you could put some money on in Vegas, should you be able to.
Battle now brewing between the 33 and the 61. Doug Humley on the outside, going to get passed by Ricky Arbeau. And Ricky Arbeau one position closer from being back in the top 10. The 4 machine down on the apron. Not sure what happened to him. He's been having a hard night all night. That's Luke Caisi. He's going to continue to have problems down there on the apron, just running. That looks like keep the points going out there on the thing or on the field. 61 now gets around to the 24. Ricky Arbeau back in the top 10 by passing Mark Williams in the 24 machine. The 61 looks like he is on a mission right now, and he will not be denied. He wants to get back up front and get back to winning this race, to leading this race.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes the hard thing to do is to keep your mentality in check. When you know you've got points to make up, you know you've got ground to make up, it's easy to get frustrated, but I tell you what, Arbeau is a champion for a reason in this series, and he's as competitive as he is in iRacing for a reason. And he's going to be able to do this. He's going to be able to keep his head straight and come through the field here as he starts closing in on the battle in front of him, which has the 5 of Patrick Healy as well as Mike Rhino and Savory in the 88. Those 3 cars nose to tail, and that's going to help the 61 of Arbeau, because if anyone's getting held up at all, that's going to help anyone with lost ground able to catch back up.
The 48 of Jake Goodwin continues to lead. Keith Mack immediately on his tail. Mike Alexander is still under fire from the 98 of Stephen Matthews. 3rd and 4th. The 15 and the 98 have been running for a lot of this evening. Now there's a challenge for the lead as a 22 of Keith Mack trying to slice his way up front. The 48 drives him down to the apron. Won't happen this time by, but here comes lap traffic. Will they help or hinder Jake Goodwin in the 48 machine? We'll find out when they get close to him. They cross the line for lap 75, halfway over with this race.
Yeah, and you saw a lap ago, Keith Mack used some of that apron as he got underneath Goodwin, as Goodwin was running a tight line. That's something that is at your disposal here at Langley. You can use a good bit of apron on, as he does that again, center on exit. You can use it on entry or center exit. You'll see it mostly used on entry, then these drivers sliding up a little bit and then using the grip of that banking to get off of the corner. And so we saw Goodwin pretty much make his pass that low on the racetrack in turn number 1 when he got the lead early on. Now Keith Mack trying to do the same thing. He's right there, and his car looks faster, but just getting to the leader and passing him, those are 2 different things.
Exactly, 2 different things that are 2 completely different strategies. Jake Goodwin looks like he's in complete control of this race on lap 79. Keith Mack, Mike Alexander, and Steve Matthews, your top 4, starting to break away from the rest of the field as they get around the 18 of Chuck Morehouse with relative ease out there. Morehouse, a new competitor in this series, so we'll have to keep an eye on what he's able to do as the series continues through the Maritime iRacing League. Ronnie McKay now in 5th. He's under fire from Carter Wilson. The 97 and 27 have been exchanging positions all night. Now the 97 looks like he wants to stay in the top 5. but that could all be dependent on what the 27 of Carter Wilson does.
Yeah, McKay's speed a little bit less on the longer run than I expected. Part of that might just be track position, though. He might have just lost some space on the start. Now battling for that fifth. He's got some space though behind the 27 of Carter Wilson, of course, which he can use to his benefit. But obviously, he doesn't want to give up any spots at all. So he's trying to get back into his rhythm. Actually, just lay down a pretty good lap, able to pull a couple of hundreds on the 27. The 27 going all the way to the apron, pretty much all four tires last time by, through the center of 1 and 2, just trying to get any grip that he can find. But McKay just seems like it's coming back to him right now. That lap pulled a half of a tenth in that battle for fifth.
Don't look now, but here comes the 61 of Ricky Arbeau, now worked up to 9th. He's now got to get around the 5 of Patrick Healy. Healy's been a strong competitor all night. When Hollywood Terry was tapping him, he did not phase at all, though Patrick Healy that time by in the 5 did touch the wall a little bit out there. So Healy either might be having some problems with that car, or he might be having some other issues out there. 34 and 61 switch positions, caution on the field.
And the 55 is around. The caution's for Tracy Foster in the 55. And Tim Terry comes over the radio, says, my bad, guys, that was my fault. Looks like Tim was behind the 55 of Foster. This was a battle for the 13th position. Tim just kind of missed his marks entering turn number 1. He got on the brakes a little bit late, a little bit hot, got into the back of the 55. And who was that just did a good job of avoiding was actually the 38 of Travis Roma, ducked down to the bottom, able to avoid Foster and move on by.
Hollywood Terry strikes again. He is not wasting any time out here. He is not pulling any punches. He is kicking butt and taking names. Hollywood Terry. He is living up to his namesake tonight on that big bow tie.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned him being a potential heel, and it just has really worked out that way. I think these guys got boxed in behind the pace car. I'm not sure if that's going to cause them to lose a lap or might be able to take the wave around, dependent on who comes down pit road. But it looks like they got, it looks like right at the end there, might have got bunched up behind the pace car. I'm not sure if that's going to have any effect. But yeah, Tim Terry, we've seen a lot of him today, and he's got some front end damage there, and it just seems like, I think at this point he wants to finish the race out clean. We're more than halfway into this thing. When we take this restart, it's going to be 60 laps to go. That Swan Racing machine, that 75 though, looks like it's been through a whole lot of damage, a whole lot of trouble there on that front end.
38-4, 75, all now have traveling on down on pit road as they try to figure it out. Meanwhile, back up front, it is now, says Rick Greenwood being credited as your leader. So for at this moment, Rick Greenwood's going to go ahead and pull down to pit road. So that's going to give the lead back to Ricky Arbeau in the 61. He will get back up front, and he will be leading this race once again. Ricky Arbeau finds a way to use the yellow flag and pit strategy to get up front and get in front of the 48 of Jake Goodwin. That would be a jump of 8 positions from where the yellow flag came out.
Yeah, Ricky, and track position certainly means something here, and 2 tires gives you some grip. Ricky's going to have more rotation. The one thing I'm worried about Ricky, though, and by the way, to correct myself, those guys weren't stuck behind the pace car. They stayed out when the first group of cars pitted. They just did not want to lose a lap by coming in too far back. But Ricky Arbeau in control of this restart, and the one thing that worries me is he's been driving hard in, and he was losing forward drive off at the end of that run, so he's going to have to try to keep forward drive in. Everyone trying to anticipate when he's going to go. The 48 of Goodwin goes right with him. Arbeau, though, that low side entering turn number 1, going to take the lead. The 48 of Goodwin ducks in behind him. The 15 of Alexander almost gets the nose on Goodwin. Not quite, though. Alexander going to have to settle for third.
Almost 3 wide is a 22, 98, 97. Almost mix it up. Going into turns 3 and 4, they are going to stay 2 by 2 through 1 and 2. The 98 machine of Stephen Matthews showing his clout. He will stay up 4th. Caution out once again on the field, and it looks like it's going to be for the 5 of Patrick Healy and the 38 machine.
Yeah, and looking at that wreck entering turn number 1, what happened there was Patrick Healy in the number 5 at the beginning of lap number 92 there. Healy was stuck on the outside in that 5 car. and he tried to get back in line. He got on the brakes early for turn number 1, tried to fit into a gap that the 38 car of Travis Romo was trying to fill, and they just sort of met in the middle. And so both those cars go around, and a couple pile in and get some damage. So that's another caution of the evening here. They're going to have to reset. And one of the drivers who lost a bunch of spots there early on in that restart was the 22. It's Keith Mack. We saw him running up there in the lead battle. Unfortunately, got stuck high. Unfortunately for him, going to have to restart from 5th, but he's back on the low side for the next restart.
Heavy front end damage for the number 5 of Patrick Healy. He is going to go ahead and call it a night. He was crab walking all the way through the grass out there in that 5 machine. It was pretty much done. There's nothing the crew could do to help him out. So we will continue under the caution flag. Ricky Arbeau, your leader. Jake Goodwin, 2nd. Ronnie McKay, 3rd. Steve Matthews, 4th. And Keith Mack round out your top 5. Let's go ahead and step away and take another commercial break. You are watching the Maritime iRacing League. It's the weekly infield press 150 live from Langley Speedway on LSRTV.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
Base car gets out of the way. We are restarting the weekly infield press 150 live from Langley Speedway here on LSR TV, part of the Maritime iRacing Series. Ricky Arbeau wasting no time, getting back up front. Jake Goodwin in the 48th second. Now the battle is for 3rd between the 98 of Stephen Matthews. He's on the outside with the 27 of Carter Wilson. Inside line has the advantage. 3rd place will go to Mike Alexander. And here comes Keith Mack. Mack the knife trying to cut his way to traffic. Should dispatch in 98 without any problems. They make contact side by side, door to door. The 98 will stay high. And now here comes Ronnie McKay with him as well in the 97.
Yeah, we saw Matthews doing really well in that last long run. Got caught high here on this restart. Keith Mack making up a spot after getting caught high in the last restart. Battles on for the lead. The 48 of Goodwin working his way by the 61 of Arbeau. Arbeau with that pit strategy, taking 2 tires. You see him sliding off of turn number 4, just doesn't have the grip. The 15 of Alexander there working along the bottom, going to take the 22 of Mack with him. Alexander up to 2nd. We saw him running 3rd and 4th in that last run, keeping up with the leaders as they had a pretty much 4-car battle for the lead. Keith Mack back up to 3rd. Now Mack and Alexander are going to try to set their sights on the 48 of Goodwin, and also look at that, the number 97, Ronald McKay. We saw him fade back a little bit up to 4th, trying to set his sights on the leaders as these guys with less than 50 laps to go going to wind down very quickly here, trying to make some moves.
Ricky Arbeau in the 61 machine. They're not letting him down on the line. They are not letting him play in the reindeer games, knowing his car is too strong if it gets in line. So they're going to make him hang out way up top and make him lose position. The 27 of Carter Wilson gets around him. Now here comes the 88 of Kevin Savory. Savory dispatches him pretty easily. Mike Rhino, is he going to let him in? The 61 might take it. Nope, Rhino's got the nose. Rhino makes contact with the 61, and here comes Hollywood Terry. What's he going to do? Is he going to do the right thing, or is he going to dispatch him? Nope, he's going to let the 61 of Arbeau in. Tim Terry stays in the top 10. Ricky Arbeau drops from the penthouse to the doghouse in 9th.
Yeah, and I think before this caution, he was running right around the 8th or 9th position. And so right now he's thinking, you know what, maybe I should have taken 4. Tim Terry, during our commercial, mentioned that he did not want to get involved in any more incidents and trying to keep his nose clean right now. Arbo back into the 9th position here, but with a tire disadvantage, trying to see if he could keep up with these guys in front of him. Meanwhile, all these guys just sort of condensing, the field just running together right now. The battle all the way from 1st to about 8th, single file, but Mike Alexander stalking the back bumper of the 48 of Goodwin.
Less than 50 to go out here on the field. Jake Goodwin up front, Mike Alexander, Keith Mack, Steve Matthews, your top 4. Once again, starting to break away. Ronnie McKay, your points leader, holding strong in 5th, but he's not keeping up. He's not catching up to that front group in front of him. I have to wonder if the potential nose damage on the 97 machine is affecting him at all. It looks like there is some minor damage on the nose of that 97 machine for McKay. I'm wondering if that's affecting him at all out here and his ability to run and get position on these drivers.
Yeah, it might have a little bit of effect. Usually you could get away with a little bit here, but sometimes it has more of an effect than you would expect at a short track. I think he's lacking a little bit of rotation compared to the guys who are running the fastest lap times on the track. However, the times are all really close. In fact, last lap, McKay in that 97 was faster than the leader by about half a tenth. And so he's slowly coming back, but obviously lost some ground in most of these laps here since the restart. This time, 39 laps to go as the 15 of Alexander is all over Goodwin. A little bit of contact. The 15 ducks underneath the 48 coming out of turn number 2. Tries to keep that nose there. More contact. 48 of Goodwin shuts the door. Alexander up the track. Has to save that car. Loses 2 spots. Trying to go for that lead.
Loses position. That is not something you want to do here on the track. That opens up the door for the 22. Keith Mack behind him. Stephen Matthews now up to 3rd. Mike Alexander in 4th. Ronnie McKay remains in the top 5 out there. Only person that can benefit right now, the 48 machine of Jake Goodwin, as he continues to run uncontested out there. Keith Mack at least a car length away. He's not going to give up that. He's not going to try to get around and make that position work anytime soon.
Yeah, Keith Mack fell all the way to 6th when he got caught high about 20 laps ago. Has driven up from 6th to 2nd. And we saw Keith being one of the faster cars on that previous long run. Has his sights set on that 48, wants to make a move, and he's hungry to get that lead. Should we have any more restarts, he wants to be the one leading the field. And so Stephen Matthews also right behind these guys doing a good job. He's another driver that we always see up there in contention in the Maritime iRacing League. And so Keith Mack right now holding steady with the 48, just not close enough to make a move quite yet, as the 4-car Luke Casey gives room to those cars on the inside. But it was a tough break for Mike Alexander, who's been fast, gave up a lot of track position. Now Ronald McKay looking to make a move there for the 4th position.
Jake Goodwin still out front. Now the 5 of Patrick Healy ducks out of the way. He ducks into the infield to get away from these drivers. No yellow flag is out, so we continue to run out here uninterrupted. Carter Wilson, Kevin Savory, Mike Rhino still running 6th, 7th, 8th. Ricky Arbeau back in the 9th place position. He just can't get a handle on that 61 machine, it looks like. Trying to use the apron to pick up a little speed on that low side, but even then, that car is not rotating. Ricky Arbeau's car not doing what he intended it to do. It's not running the way he wants, and without being able to rotate, without that car able to rotate, the 61 is not going to pick up position anytime soon.
Yeah, his left side tires are older than the competition, and so, it helped him get track position, but unfortunately when he got caught high, he lost that track position in a matter of laps. And so he just doesn't have the speed because of those worn left sides, and a lot of times that he's doing a good job of driving his car. Earlier on, we saw him really pushing the center and then losing drive off, and he's getting what's in that car right now. He's not getting loose on exit, doesn't look like he's overdriving the corner. But just that tire disadvantage, he's not quite able to keep up with the top 8 in this field right now.
The 18 of Chuck Morehouse going another lap down, letting the leaders by without any problem. So is the 89 of Morgan Murphy, and the 6 machine that belongs to Nathan Doherty. Each of these drivers letting the leaders pass by without any contest whatsoever. They realize that these guys are running for points, pride, and a whole bunch of other stuff, so they're not going to get in the way of the battle we have brewing on the field. Jake Goodwin uncontested now, 4 car lengths between him and the 22 of Keith Mack. Keith Mack still using the apron to rotate that machine. I think you see a lot of these guys doing that, trying to use that apron to make this car get around in a hurry.
Yeah, and actually, Ronald McKay just getting that apron through 3 and 4 got way sideways, able to save it though. No caution, no spin, no anything. As Jake Goodwin, the leader, as you mentioned, putting some distance on second place. Keith Mack under a lot of pressure. That 98 car of Matthews all over the back bumper of that 22. And so the battle's heating up for second here, as we actually have 25 laps to go. This time by is going to be 24 to go. Goodwin with, you could say somewhat of a commanding lead right now, but as we're looking at this battle, the 98 right on the back bumper of the 22.
Brandon Campbell out of gas. He is going to ride around on the apron, and will he make it back to pit road? He will not. That might bring out the yellow flag.
Oh, I think he just passes the cones, where I think we're going to be safe now and no yellow flags can come out. That was a close one. I thought he was going to stop right on the track right before that pit road entrance, able to get it through there. The battle for second, Stephen Matthews has just taken that second spot away from Keith Mack, and now Matthews drives it into turn number 1, that 98 car, trying to get to the 48 as quickly as possible. Next time by, 21 laps to go, which becomes can fly by in a hurry here. 16-second lap. These drivers running about 16 flat around this racetrack, the fastest times on the track. And so that 98 looking to make some ground up, get to that 48 car. But does he have enough time?
Matthews is running just a touch faster than the 48 of Jake Goodwin right now. But the question is, will the 98 have enough time to catch him? 20 laps left to go here on the field before we crown a winner in the infield, the weekly infield press 150 here at Langley Speedway, part of the Maritime iRacing League. These guys are still running incredibly hard. The 98 picking up 1/10 of a second every time around, but that might not be enough to bridge the gap between him and Jake Goodwin. Goodwin looking for his second win of the season, his second consecutive win here on LSRTV, trying to make it 2 for 2 in consecutive weeks. That would give him a shot in the arm for his championship hopes over Ronnie McKay right now.
Yeah, absolutely. He is about, I think, 34 points to make up, if my memory serves me correctly. But that's doable in 5 races here. And McKay right now running in the 5th position. And I tell you what, you do that every week, and the points will just keep on coming, as the number 98 of Matthews doing all he can to try to catch the 48. But the last couple laps, it really has evened out. Actually, Goodwin putting some distance on Matthews the last couple laps. Actually, that lap, though, Matthews a couple of hundredths faster, but catches a lot of apron there through 1 and 2, though, so I don't think he's going to be faster this lap, as he over-rotated through 1 and 2. Mack is putting pressure on Matthews now, so the roles have reversed there for second place, as Vic Greenwood in the 11 car runs up high, giving the leaders room, and he's running in 14th place. Caution's out on the racetrack.
The red caution out on the track, and this could change it for everybody out there. They are slowing up, and I didn't see exactly what caused the yellow flag to come out. All I know is this will change the complexion of the race for your leaders.
Yeah, actually, I think it was the 99 car. He got going really quickly, but Brandon Campbell had to make that stop to put gas in his machine, and he caught the apron out of turn number 4, sent him into the inside wall, and he locked it down to make sure it didn't drift back up onto the racetrack. But the game threw the caution just as the cars went on by above him. So it was a 1-car incident, the 99 catching the inside wall, and this certainly is a game changer, as pitch stride is going to come into play here. I think we might see some 2-tire stops. Actually, we're going to see a number of people staying out. Matthews, Goodwin, our leader, is going to stay out. He's pretty much in a box too. With we're going to restart with about 10 or less to go. Keith Mack stays out. Matthews stays out. However, some of these guys taking tires, going to try to use them to their full advantage, including of the people on pit road, including Arbo, Mike Alexander, Ronnie McKay. That also includes the 75. That's Hollywood Tim Terry, going to take tires, looking to get his 3rd consecutive top 10.
The 61 of Ricky Arbo blows off the green cone, gives it a little ride as he gets back on the track. He will stop for service to that 61 machine as he passed a car that was in the infield. Not sure what that was. I believe that was the 98 of no, check that. It might have been the 89 of Morgan Murphy that was in the infield just a moment ago. Not exactly sure what happened to him there, but he is out of contention as it stands right this moment. All eyes are on the drivers up front. Jake Goodwin did not come down for service. Stephen Matthews did not. Keith Mack did not. Carter Wilson did not. Neither did Doug Ubley, Tracy Foster, Mark Williams, or Vic Greenwood. So you've got now about a litany of four drivers that have been passed all night, 6 drivers that did not come to the attention of their crews to get service, and then a lot of very talented drivers behind them, like number 97 of Mike Alexander, the 15 machine of Tracy Foster, or check that, the 15 of Mike Alexander, I should say, the 61 of Ricky Arbeau. These are drivers that are going to have tires and fuel underneath them, and they're going to be using it to burn up everything they can when they go to the race. Tip Hollywood Terry back on pit road one more time. He might want to make one more adjustment in that car before we go back to green flag racing.
Yeah, and the one thing though that's questionable about the tires is you would just kind of hope that more cars would come down pit road there. It's going to be rough for these guys to make up the track position that they did lose because we had at least six cars stay on out with the older tires. Goodwin is in control of the field here. The pace car is going to duck down here in a second. It's at 48 on the inside of that front row. Goes early right with the pace car. The 98 of Matthews goes right with him, trying to hold off the 22 of Mack. Mack backs off, gives him the. We have a caution somewhere on the track.
15 is around now. The 15, the 24 both got involved in an incident out there going into turn number 1 and 2. Also 97, your points leader Ronnie McKay, the 61 of Arbeau, gets some love in it. The 88 also involved. Caution is finally out for that incident. And that will change a game. That might be the end of the race, though I doubt it. It'll make it so we have a restart with less than 3 to go.
Yeah, that's right. We will have one more restart. This incident here, I was entering turn number 1. McKay goes in the middle, 3 wide, and they could make that. We've seen 3 wide here tonight at Langley, but the 24 Mark Williams with the older tires actually comes down a little bit. I mean, hard to put any blame. This is one of those racing incidents when you have older tires and newer tires. Mike Alexander was trying to make it work on the bottom, McKay in the middle, and they just sort of met there. Alexander almost got tagged by the 24 as he spun, as he got sideways, and so Alexander got hard into the wall. But they're going to reset here. This is good for the guys that stayed out because it gives them less laps to deal with the cars with newer tires. And so Goodwin's going to be in control of the next restart, and he's really just going to have to worry about the 98 of Matthews and the 22 of Mack.
5 cars involved in that incident, and I guarantee you the one that is most disappointed is the 15 of Mike Alexander. Heavy front end damage on that 15 machine, and that could effectively be the end of his night, the end of his competitiveness out here on the field. He was running so strong all night. He had a great run working up. He was looking for a top 5 finish, and then all it took was one misstep, one wrong placement, and now he's at the back of the field with less than 5 laps to go when we go back to green flag racing.
Yeah, that 15 car showed a lot of speed throughout the night. He's 9th in points, so it could have been a really good points night for him. But now he's got to contend with a lot more traffic as he just lost. He's running, that's the lowest spot that he's been in all race. And I think he'll be able to get some spots, but he won't be able to get to where he was. Just he doesn't have enough time. But Ronnie McKay also with his points lead, definitely losing some of that cushion here as he's going to restart in, I believe, the 12th position. And he's got a lot of heavy damage on that 97 car, especially the left rear and the TV panel on the back. And so these guys beating and banging. Right now it's 5 laps to go. We're going to have about a green-white checker, I believe, once we go back.
It will be an overdrive finish, green-white checker, just like you see on TV when we go back to green flag racing, though I've got a feeling that's probably going to be cut short as well. Pace car lights are off this time by, so the green-white checkered will shake down like this. Jake Goodwin, Stephen Matthews on the front row, Keith Mack, Carter Wilson behind him. Doug Hubhley looking for his first top 5 of the season. Mike Rhino on the outside of him. Kevin Savory, Mark Williams, Hollywood Terry, and Ricky Arbo rounding out your top 10 on this field, and it's still anybody's field. Caution ends the race. Let's see what happens. The 48 wasting no time, gets back up front. The 98 immediately behind it. 1, 2, 3, they go into turns 1 and 2. 3 to go, 2.5 to go as soon as they hit the backstretch.
Yeah, Stephen Matthews did a great job of anticipating that restart. Goodwin able to get the lead, though, this time by his 2 to go. It's a 3-lap shootout right here as Jake Goodwin really asserting himself early on, getting the lead. They're side-by-side for the 5th position as the 33 of Doug Hubhley tries to get around Mike Rhino. Kevin Savory in the 88 trying to follow, but up front, it's Goodwin. This time by, he's going to take the white flag. He's got about a 2-car length lead on that 98 of Stephen Matthews, who drives it into turn number 1.
Stephen Matthews wants a position, but he's not going to be able to get it. Jake Goodwin running too strong out there into turns 3 and 4. 3 car lengths between them. Jake Goodwin wins the weekly infield press 150 at Langley Speedway, but not by much. He's now spinning out. He's now making contact. Big trouble on the front stretch after your leader spins it, coming off of 3 and 4. Big trouble in 1.
As you could tell, that 48 of Goodwin was not going to lift off that throttle. He wanted to cross that finish line, not give up and anything on the racetrack. Comes home with the victory, his 2nd in a row. The 48 getting it done. That DC Shoe USA Chevrolet doing burnouts on the front stretch, celebrating his 2nd win in a row. And just a really impressive performance. That 48 car started 2nd, was great on restarts from the 2nd position, able to get the lead and never looked back. And also, he had to contend with drivers on different strategies, had to pass Ricky Arbo, who took 2 tires late in the going, was able to pass for the lead with about 40 to go. And so really an impressive performance tonight by that 48.
Jake Goodwin 2 for 2 here on LSRTV. Makes it his second consecutive night as you see him getting into the 89 and doing the burnouts. We will talk to him about that incident and his overall race. The number 48 machine of Jake Goodwin, the winner of the weekly infield press 150 here at Langley Speedway. We'll talk to the top 3 when we return. Stay tuned, race fans.
Fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Travis, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4, and the checkered flag, he wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
Jake Goodwin, your winner here at Langley Speedway. It's the weekly infield press 150. Big win, but even bigger incident after the win. That sees several cars get beat up as a result of that big win. Stephen Matthews finishing second, Keith Mack third, Carter Wilson fourth, Doug Hubhley fifth, Kevin Savory, Tim Terry, Ricky Arbeau, Mike Rhino, and Mike Alexander round out your top 10. Your points leader Ronald McKay, Stephen Arsenal, Tracy Foster, Vic Greenwood, Nathan Doherty. Dick Eden was the last of the 14 cars. The lead finish on the lead lap. Nathan Doherty finishing 15th. Mark Williams, Morgan Murphy, Luke Caisi, Brandon Campbell, and Chuck Morehouse rounding out your top 20. Patrick Healy, Jeff Gilmore, Travis Roma, and all finishing in the top 23. Let's go ahead and go down to victory lane with Mr. Two-Time himself, Jake Goodwin, standing by with our own Harrison Weidlitz.
Absolutely. I'm here with Jake Goodwin, second win in a row, second win of the season. Came in tonight with a 34-point deficit on the leader. That is down to 24 points. Second in points, Jake Goodwin. I tell you what, Jake, qualified second, practice second, but ended the night in victory lane, able to do well on those early restarts from the second position and able to pass for the lead multiple times in the evening. And so just how great of a race was that from your vantage point?
Right from the start of the race, the setup was great, so I was having a lot of fun racing Keith and Ricky and Steve and them. I had a lot of fun.
And this is one of the more unique short tracks that we go to on the schedule, where it just seems like you're constantly turning. And how difficult was it to find that balance that worked with the right front and the right rear tire?
It was pretty difficult. I didn't have very good feelings coming into here, but as the race went on, I kind of got into a rhythm and the setup seemed to get better and better.
And looking at that point situation, I believe we have 4 races left after tonight. And so with a 24-point deficit, I mean, you just made up 10 points tonight. So how good do you feel about challenging Ronald McKay for that championship?
Well, I'd like to make a run for it. Need some luck. Unfortunately, he had some bad luck tonight, and we had a pretty good game.
And next week, heading into, I believe, Thompson, how do you feel about that racetrack?
It's another track that's hard to pass, but it should be a good race.
So coming to the stripe, we saw you get sideways. Well, we just trying to get to that finish line as quickly as possible under power?
Yeah, I started getting a little loose, and I seen Steven back there. I didn't want to let up.
But I tell you what, an impressive performance tonight by that 48 car. You looked good out there, started second, got the victory, second of the season, second in a row, looking to make it the triple next week at Thompson. And Jake, who makes it happen for you? Who would you like to thank following tonight's victory?
I'd like to thank CBC Racing, Stephen Matthews, Doug Hubhley, Kevin Savory, and Craig McDonald, Pat Healy, and Brad Eddy.
And also want to point out Tim Terry just letting me know, Jake, you've taken the all-time win total in this series, most wins in this league. I believe 7 wins in 30 starts. And so that has to make you feel pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's cool. That's a cool stat for sure. I'd like to thank the weekly press and CBC Racing again for all the practice laps.
That's tonight's winner, Jake Goodwin. I believe Joe has caught up with our second place finisher.
Steve Matthews was the fastest car on track, turning the fastest lap time all night out here, finishes second. Steve, you definitely got to feel good about a second place finish. Even though it wasn't first, you definitely proved the medal in that 98 machine.
Oh, Joe, I had a rough season so far. This is the first time I think I cracked top 5 off this season. So to get a second place and to, fall in place with a teammate getting the win, I couldn't be more happier. It's been a rough go, but this kind of makes up for it.
Walk us through that battle you had brewing with Keith Mack all night. You and the 22 were fighting back and forth all night. A lot of respect, a lot of good racing being shown between you drivers. How much fun was it to be racing back and forth with Keith Mack?
Well, first of all, Keith Mack's a hell of a racer. The whole Revolution team's a great team and kind of our arch rival. And no, we just a lot of respect out there. I was just waiting for mistakes. He wasn't making any, and he just give up the bottom, let me go. He's burning up his stuff, and I just worked on the next one.
You worked on the next one, and you worked it ultimately to a second place finish. You seem to really take advantage of drivers where they made mistakes. How confident were you on this track from all your practice time, from all the laps you did? How confident were you going into tonight's race? And did you come in thinking, "Hey, we're going to at least get a top 5 if we don't win it"?
Joe, I was pretty confident. This is probably my second favorite track on the whole circuit. So I knew I had a good piece. I had a good setup. We ran a lot of laps, tweaked the setup a bit, and you just had to survive. I didn't want that yellow to come out, the last yellow there, to get put back outside. It's hard to get inside there because you can't make a run on the outside. But I was able to clear. I believe it was Keith, and I got second. I'm happy.
Looking forward to next week. You're at Thompson Speedway. What's the plan for next week? How are you feeling about it? What's going on? Where are you at looking up to next week?
Thompson's a funny track. I run pretty good there, but it's all about track position. You got to get qualified up front. You got to avoid the carnage because there will be some. That's tight corners there. So that's all we got, and see what comes out of it.
Steve, real quick, unofficially, currently 7th in points, but only 10 points away from that 4th place tie. You said you had a rough season to start. Looking now at the back end of that, looking towards the rest of the season, what's it going to take for you and your team to get out of 7th place and potentially move up the stats? Only 10 points away from 4th.
Well, hopefully, Joe, going to ride the momentum here, and like I say, if we get through Thompson, I think we'll be in pretty good shape. It's just, we've been fast all season. It's just circumstances, pulled the pin on that, and the finishes didn't show what the car really had.
Steve Matthews finishing second here tonight at Langley Speedway. Before I let you go, any shouts you want to give, anything you'd like to offer, microphone's all yours.
Well, I want to thank Pat Healy from the Weekly Press. He put on this gig tonight. I got to thank CBC Racing. All the boys put in a lot of work, and it really paid off tonight. I got to thank Jeff Gilmett from 86graphics.ca. He painted this car for me for this race, and to bring it home in the top 3 on the podium, I'm a happy camper.
Stephen Matthews finishing second here tonight. We will see you in 1 week's time at Thompson, looking for another big finish. Hubley.
Yeah, Doug Hubley had a solid race, running in the about 12th, a lot in the later stages. Stayed out, I believe, at the late in the going, held on with authority. First top 5 for Doug Hubley, that 33 car looking solid, getting a solid finish. You have to feel good about that, Doug. At one of the toughest short tracks that we really go to.
Yeah, I feel really great about that finish. I figured I was about a 12th to a 15th place car tonight. And this track is just really, really hard to pass. So I managed to hang on the inside and stay out of trouble. And I think basically what got me up to the 5th place position is when a lot of the boys pitted towards the end of it, I stayed out.
And as you mentioned, this track, the rolling the bottom being so important here. How do you feel about the balance of your car? Because this is a track where you're turning so much, it's very easy to hurt the right front tire or the right rear. How did your car feel for you?
My car felt pretty good until we get like to 30 laps, 20 to 30 laps into our run, and then it felt like it was starting to struggle because of the right front. But then we got a couple cautions there to help cool it off, so that certainly helped, like after the pit stops that were made earlier in the race.
And I believe this run brings you up to 14th in points, and heading into Thompson next week, which we've heard Steve Matthews just now mentioned, it's pretty hard to pass.
Love to make it happen, but I find Thompson's another track where if you can survive it, you do decent.
That's a good point. Short track racing, always a lot of attrition. Keeping your nose clean, so beneficial. And Doug, bringing that 33 car home in the 5th position tonight. A great run. Finished ahead of past champion for one. And so it's a great run tonight. And who makes it happen for you? Who would you like to thank?
I'd like to thank my teammates at CBC Racing.
It's our 5th place finisher tonight. Doug Hubhley was solid top 5. And Joe, I believe you caught up with a Hollywood Tim Terry.
Hollywood Tim Terry climbing out of the steel cage. And Terry, we saw you at potentially your worst tonight. What wasn't bent was by Hollywood Terry.
Okay, you got to get it right first. The car is named Hollywood. It's not me that's named Hollywood. I've got different names, but we're not going to go into that. I need to apologize to a laundry list of people. Tracy Foster being on top of the list because I totally missed turn 1 and got into Tracy. So I apologize to Tracy, and it's a tough little short track. You guys talked about it all night long. We had a few cautions, and it is what it is. First of all, I want to thank Pat Healy for the Weekly Press for coming on board for this one. I need to thank Laura Lawson as well, LSRTV, for putting this show on tonight. We didn't know what was going on today, so big thank you to Laura. And congratulations to Jake Goodwin and even Doug Hubhley. Put on a hell of a show. I was happy to see that 33 up there in the top 5 at the end of the race. I dodged a few bullets at the end of that one, but it is what it is. We're happy, and we'll take 7th, 3rd straight top 10, and we'll move on to Thompson. Not really good at Thompson either, but we'll go on from there. I need to thank my sponsors as well: Swan Racing, Ackles Racing, the crew that is on the back deck lid of the car. I don't know if Laura can get a picture of that, but there's a lot of names back there. I need to thank Chad Coleman, who was helping me throughout the race as well. I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody or not. TimsCorner.ca, I guess. But yeah, great run tonight. Had a few cautions. This league is great. A lot of great drivers in it. And we'll move on to Thompson next week. Next week at Thompson International Speedway. We're looking for a sponsor for that race too. If anybody's out there watching wants to come on board and help support what we do each week.
Tim, tonight you really showed the strength of the Maritime iRacing League and how this iRacing sim, it's not just a video game, it really is a training tool for the off season. You know, if the races are this good online, imagine how much better they'll be next season in the Maritimes.
And, you know, we start off our next season. We have a season that's essentially split up into 2 segments. We have a winter or a fall segment and a spring segment. Our spring segment begins in January. So if you're out there and you're watching our show and saying, I really want to get involved in this, get a hold of me. Go to iRacing.com, get signed up. I actually have a couple of trial memberships for those that are looking to get involved in the Maritime iRacing League, 3-month trial memberships if you really want to get on board with this. We start our next season in January. We have a sportsman series, which we run on Monday evenings, which is essentially the beginner series or the feeder series per se to the super series. The top 5 from each of those races get in to the big dance you see here on LSRTV each week. So be sure to head over to MIRL.ca. All the information is there on the temp page. We're building something new eventually, and sign up and get all the information from there. My contact information is on the website as well, and get involved. It's a great group of guys. If you're from the Maritimes, you see a lot of names that are familiar that you see at the racetracks week in and week out. And it's just a great way to kill a Monday night or a Wednesday night with a bunch of great guys around here. So MIRL.ca. And as we mentioned, we got a lot of great group of sponsors. Weekly Press tonight we've had. I'm probably going to miss a couple. Patterson Sales and Service. You have there. My mind goes blank. On back, Go Tire. The Carl Rayburn at Rustic. There's so many great guys. Sean Waterfield. List goes on and on. And just if you're looking to get involved in this, be sure to head over and MIRL.ca and get involved. We're looking for a sponsor for the next race at Thompson. It's going to be 125 laps. Going to be a barn burner next week, Joe.
Real quick, what are we going to look forward to at Thompson?
A lot of great short track racing. We've been there twice before. We've had 100 lap races. This is the longest race we're going to have. We've upped it to 125 laps next week, and it's going to be a great show. Ronnie stumbled a little bit. Point battle's going to open a little bit up as well. Stefan Arsenault's closing in on Patrick Healy for the top 18. I'm sitting 8th in points somehow. I don't know how I'm doing that, but we'll get there next week. It's going to be fun. Once again, Swan Racing, Ackles Racing, TimsCorner.ca for on my car.
Hollywood Tim Terry taking home a big finish tonight. We will see you in 1 week's time over at Thompson, and I hope it'll end better for you than tonight did, especially with your fellow competitors on the track.
I will take 7th place, but just get it right. It's the car that's named Hollywood. It's not me.
Well,
I know somebody that's named Hollywood, and she can probably drive better than I could tonight.
Tim Terry finishing 7th place tonight here at Langley. We'll see him in 1 week's time. Harrison White, let's your final thoughts on what we saw here tonight.
Really just a good show. One of the most unique tracks that we go to. A lot of great battles all the way from the lead, all the way middle of the pack, back of the pack. Anywhere you looked on the track, it was an entertaining show. And that battle for the win was in question all the way up until the end. Points battle is tightening up, and just a lot of good racing here at Maritime iRacing League.
That will do it for us here on LSRTV. Our thanks go to the Weekly Infield Press for being the title sponsor of tonight's Weekly Infield Press 150 at Langley Speedway. To find out more about the Maritime iRacing League, visit them online at MIRL.ca. MIRL.ca. So on behalf of our entire broadcast crew, executive producer and camera operator Laura Lawson, my partner in crime, Harrison Whitelets, I am Joe Cortez. We'll be seeing you in 1 week's time with the Maritime iRacing League live from Thompson Speedway. Good night, everybody.